Hi, I'm not a content creator or YouTuber or anything. I'm literally just a random girl with thoughts that have been in my mind for about 4 months now. Specifically about Natlan, not really Samara because that was kind of different for me. So this is really just me expressing my opinion because I know this was more relevant 4 months ago when Natlan first came out, but I want to see if there's still people who feel the same way. And also, it is good to hear different perspectives. So, obviously, I have my own experiences. If there's anyone watching this who feels completely differently, I would honestly really like to hear that because there's not always one side of the story. But on my side, I'd just like to share how I feel. I'm a major Genshin lover. I guess not as much anymore. I still really love it. The music is absolutely gorgeous. Most of my old playlist is literally just Genshin music because I feel like they cover pretty much I won't say all, but most genres. You can just really find anything in there. I also really like open world games, RPGs. Not really gacha games, but I guess it adds a little fun to the mix, you could call it. I started playing around when Dragon Spine was released. I fell off for about a month, came back, was fully into it for pretty much until 4 months ago. So, I guess I just wanted to set up some context, and I'm not just a Genshin hater or a person who's only here for the drama. So, I want to start with my thoughts on Sumeru because that was well, it was the first time that I think it got really, really big because, you know, I don't think anyone really expected Genshin to have darker characters because Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma are based off of places where there's not as much melanin, basically. So, Sumeru was the turning point in this, and at the time, I think I was in like my peak of Genshin love, I guess. And I had a friend who was basically just trying to tell me that, hey, that's pretty messed up that all the playable characters are really light considering the regions Sumeru is based off of. And, because I loved Genshin, I loved playing it, I defended it, basically. And I was like, oh, uh, they might have more restrictions. They're just trying to appeal to their bigger audience. Stuff like that, basically. And I also brought up the point that Natlan's coming in the future, and because it's based off of regions where there are more melanated people, clearly darker, I'm sure they'll do something, right? So, yeah, I kind of let that slide. But I think it was around 4 or 5 months ago, they released the trailer for the music of Natlan. Like, you know how they have the teasers? So I listened to that, and I got so angry. Like, that was the last straw for me. I wish I had listened to my friend because she was really right. I honestly regret being pretty, naive and blind in a sense. So, yeah, when I saw the music where they're singing in Swahili with a choir that's primarily really dark, and then to see the other teaser showing the characters who are all really light was just beyond disappointing for me. And this is where I'd like to make a point about the NPCs versus playable characters, because we have seen NPCs with darker skin tones. In Sumeru, too. I think some of the Eremites, or the, like the guards, like the Millilith of Sumeru, I forgot what they're called. I'm pretty sure some of them had darker skin tones, and I've been keeping up with Natlan like a tiny bit, so I've seen that there are NPCs that have darker skin tones, and even afros and stuff like that. But none of the playable characters are darker, and honestly, I think that's even more messed up because there's, people saying that these regions have all sorts of skin tones, which is absolutely true. And I'm not necessarily saying just make everybody really dark. You can have a variety. That's just me. Um, I think the fact that you see the divide between playable characters and NPCs just shows what, like, the message is. Basically, that darker skin tone is just not profitable enough, I guess. At the end of the day, it is really about money because Hoyoverse is a business. They're trying to make money. I can't blame them for that. This is more of a me take, and this is really just me being a little sensitive. I'm not gonna lie. But I think when it comes to video games and art in general, I feel like there's a certain line, especially if you're going to be representing a foreign culture in your art, where your attention to detail has to be, very immaculate, especially in the world today. And Hoyoverse does a really good job of that in most senses, because you can see in the regions, in the music, character design for NPCs, some of them, architecture in like the cities and everything. They pay so much attention to all of that. So, oh gosh, it bothers me that they're taking all of that and showing it as this beautiful thing, but when it comes to darker skin tones, it's just not quote unquote profitable enough for them. And I think, as I was saying before, this is a rant, so this is not organized. Because this is art, I feel like there's a certain passion that goes into it. And like I said before, this is really just my piece. Like, this isn't even this is really just my opinion. So, I feel like when it comes to art, video games, which I consider art, there has to be like some sort of passion behind it. I don't think it should just be about money. But like I said, obviously Hoyoverse is a business and they need money to basically survive like everyone else. But it feels kind of like they're exploiting. And I don't know, I feel a little bit hesitant to say that, but basically their message is, even if they don't mean to say it directly, by not having the playable characters have darker skin tones, they're basically saying that they're just not profitable enough, or they don't look good, or something of that nature. Like, it's just something about it is not good enough. But it's fine for the NPCs because nobody cares about them. And in general, it's just so frustrating to not see myself and my family and my friends and a whole bunch of other people not completely represented in that sense. It feels, honestly, kind of like a betrayal. Like, why am I not good enough for you? I play your game. I love your game. But I will say, I just don't know if that would also be enough for them. Still a business. I have to be honest and say I really don't know a lot about business, so this is really just a me thought. But is it really necessarily, I don't want to use right, but is it beneficial to appeal to just one audience? Because obviously people of color and just people with darker skin tones are on the smaller side of the audience. So in that sense, they probably don't see it as worthwhile to really appeal to us, but it still just sucks, you know. And I am really passionate about this, not only because I am dark skinned, also just because I feel like even though, you know, it's just a video game, it's not just a video game, because fiction will always be inspired by reality because it's made by real people who have real experiences in real life. I hope. I do. I hope. So I just don't think it's right to, again, this is just my opinion. I don't think it's right to use that argument that it's just a video game or it doesn't matter, because in some way it always will. I know you can never please anybody, so this whole hope of mine, I guess, is really just idealistic. And honestly, I don't think idealism is necessarily, well, I won't say that, but it's not always beneficial without realism and actual drive to do it. So I guess action. But back to Genshin, I guess. This video is really just me fighting for something that won't fight for me, in a sense. And this issue really bothers me because it is something I have to deal with. Not only me, but a whole lot of people. And it sucks. So, I still want to love Genshin. I think it's a fun game. It's a beautiful game. But it does kind of suck. Not the game itself. I should have clarified that. I'm sorry. I guess the situation and some of the choices made regarding the game. But the game is beautiful. And that's why it hurts. But yeah, I don't know. If anyone actually did end up watching this, thank you. It's nice to have someone listen to you, so yeah. At least I hope you were listening. I don't know. If you made it this far, I guess you're not completely appalled by my voice, so thank you. But if you're also watching this and you have recommendations for good video games, specifically RPGs and open world, because those are my favorites, any good suggestions, preferably with some more diversity, I'd be happy to hear those. But I guess that's my piece. Wish you the best, and goodbye.